The alarm rang through Seoul Station at exactly 0400 hours. Captain Daewon opened his eyes before the sound even finished its first pulse. He had been awake for the past 20 minutes anyway, staring at the ceiling of his quarters. Sleep was impossible when humanity was about to make history. He sat up and reached for his uniform. The dark blue fabric felt heavier than usual. Maybe it was just his imagination. Maybe it was the weight of what they were about to do. In 6 hours, he would lead the first human soldiers ever to leave the solar system. In 6 hours, humanity would step onto an alien battlefield. Daewon walked to the window and looked out at Earth below. The planet turned slowly beneath the station, blue and green and peaceful. Somewhere down there, billions of people were sleeping. They had no idea that 5 soldiers were about to change everything humanity thought it knew about the universe. His communication device buzzed. It was Lieutenant Hana. Captain, we're all awake. Her voice came through clearly. Meeting in the briefing room in 10 minutes? Make it 5, Daewon replied. We have a lot to cover. The briefing room was cold. It was always cold on the station, but today it felt colder. Daewon entered to find his entire squad already assembled. Lieutenant Hana stood by the window checking her rifle for the 100th time. Sergeant Tae-young sat in the corner, his massive frame making the chair look like a toy. Corporal Minji typed rapidly on her portable computer, her fingers dancing across the keys. Private June cleaned his sniper rifle with careful, precise movements. Good morning, Daewon said. Nobody responded with the usual enthusiasm. They all knew what this day meant. So, Tae-young broke the silence. We're really doing this. Going to another planet, fighting aliens. We're helping aliens, Minji corrected without looking up from her screen. The Velerans asked for our help. They're dying. Hana turned from the window. They're dying because they can't fight. The intelligence reports say they're peaceful. Plant-based biology. They've never had a war before the Kraviks came. And the Kraviks? June asked quietly. He was always quiet. That's what made him such a good sniper. Daewon pulled up a holographic display in the center of the room. An image appeared of a massive creature. It stood on 2 legs like a human, but there the similarity ended. Thick scales covered its body like armor. Its head was reptilian with rows of sharp teeth. The creature held a weapon that glowed with blue energy. This is a Kravik warrior, Daewon explained. 9 feet tall. Natural armor plating, stronger than any human. Their weapons use plasma technology. We're still trying to understand. They've conquered 17 worlds in the past decade. The Valorans are number 18. How many Kraviks are on Valora Prime? Hana asked. Estimates say around 50,000 soldiers. They've been fighting the Valorans for 3 years. 12 of the 15 major cities are destroyed. Millions dead. The room fell silent again. Tae-young whistled low. 50,000. And there's 5 of us. The Galactic Council refused to help the Valorans, Minji added, still typing. They said the Kraviks are too powerful. Too dangerous. Getting involved would just mean more dead. So why did they call us? June asked. We're not even part of the galactic community yet. Most aliens don't even know we exist. Daewon smiled grimly. Exactly. The Valorans are desperate. They sent a distress call to every system within 100 light years. We were the only ones who answered. They probably think we're crazy. Are we crazy? Tae-young asked. Nobody laughed. Maybe, Daewon admitted. But we're going anyway. Earth Command has authorized this mission. We represent humanity now. What we do out there will determine how the galaxy sees us for generations. Hana checked her rifle one more time and looked at Daewon. Have they told the Valorans anything about us? About humans? Only that we're willing to help. I don't think they know what to expect. Neither do the Kraviks, Minji said with a small smile. I've been reading their military records. The Galactic Council keeps detailed files on every species. The Kraviks fight like ancient Earth armies. Line formations. Direct assaults. Honor codes. They challenge their enemies to open battle and then crush them with superior strength. That's because it always works, June observed. When you're 9 feet tall and covered in armor, you don't need fancy tactics. True, Daewon agreed. But they've never fought humans before. They don't know about guerrilla warfare. They don't know about psychological operations. They don't understand what it means to fight an enemy who refuses to play by the rules. Tae-young grinned. So we're going to teach them. Yes, Daewon said simply. We're going to teach them. The next 3 hours passed in a blur of final preparations. They checked weapons, reviewed intelligence reports, and ran through combat scenarios. The Thunder Dragon, Earth's first faster-than-light combat ship, waited in the docking bay. It was sleek and black, built specifically for this mission. At 0700 hours, Admiral Kim arrived for the final briefing. She was old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many wars on Earth. "I won't waste time with speeches," she said, standing before the assembled squad. "You all know what this means. You know the risks. The Kraviks are dangerous. The Valorans can't help you. You'll be alone on a hostile alien world, outnumbered 10,000 to 1. "With respect, Admiral," Daewon interrupted. "It's worse than that. We're outnumbered 50,000 to 5. Admiral Kim almost smiled. "That's the spirit. You're not just soldiers anymore. You're ambassadors. You're representatives of the entire human race. Make us proud." "We will," Hana promised. "And try not to start an interstellar war," the Admiral added. "No promises," Tae-Yang muttered. They boarded the Thunder Dragon at 0800 hours. The ship was small, designed for speed rather than comfort. Daewon strapped into the command seat and looked at his team. Hana sat at the weapons console. Minji handled communications and navigation. Tae-Yang managed the defensive systems. Jun sat quietly in the back, already preparing his mind for the battles ahead. "All systems ready," Minji reported. "Earth Command has given final authorization," Hana added. Daewon took a deep breath. "Then let's make history. Take us to Valora Prime." The Thunder Dragon's engines hummed to life. Space twisted around them as the faster-than-light drive activated. Through the viewport, Daewon watched Earth disappear in a flash of light. They were going to war among the stars. Humanity's first space soldiers heading into the unknown, 5 humans against an empire. Daewon settled back in his seat and closed his eyes. In 3 days they would arrive at Valora Prime. In 3 days the galaxy would learn what humans could do. He smiled in the darkness of the ship. The Kraviks had no idea what was coming. The Thunder Dragon dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder that rattled every bolt in the ship. Daewon gripped his seat as the viewport cleared, revealing an alien world for the first time in human history. Valora Prime hung in space like a jewel. The planet glowed with colors Earth had never produced. Purple oceans stretched between continents covered in silver forests. Cities sparkled across the surface, but even from orbit, Daewon could see the dark scars where Kravik weapons had burned the land. "We're being scanned," Minji announced, her fingers flying across her console. "Multiple sources. Some are Valoran. Some are definitely not." "The Kraviks know we're here," Hana said, checking her weapon systems. "Good," Tae-Yang rumbled from the back. "Let them wonder what we are." A new voice crackled through the communication system. It was high and musical, like wind through trees. "Unknown vessel, this is Valoran Defense Coordination. Please identify yourself. If you are Kravik, please know we are prepared to defend our world." Minji looked at Daewon. He nodded and she opened a channel. "Valoran Defense, this is the Thunder Dragon from Earth. We're responding to your distress call. We're here to help." Silence followed. It stretched for 30 seconds. Daewon could almost hear the confusion on the other end. Finally, the voice returned, shaking slightly. "Earth, you came?" "You actually came." "We said we would," Daewon replied, taking over the communication. "Where can we land?" "Coordinates set uploading now." "Land at Crystal City, our capital. Please hurry. The Kraviks attack every day. We don't have much time left." The Thunder Dragon descended through Valora Prime's atmosphere. The ship shook as it pushed through clouds that sparkled with strange energy. Daewon watched through the viewport as they approached Crystal City. The name fit perfectly. Towers of transparent material rose from the ground like frozen waterfalls. Light bent through them, creating rainbows that danced across the streets. Gardens grew between the buildings, filled with plants that glowed softly. It was beautiful. It was also dying. Half the city lay in ruins. Blackened craters marked where Kravik plasma weapons had struck. Entire towers had collapsed into rubble. Fires burned in several districts, smoke rising into the purple sky. And everywhere, Daewon could see the Valorans themselves, moving through the streets like ghosts. They were tall and thin, with skin that looked like bark. Their bodies were covered in leaves and flowers. They moved gracefully but slowly, as if carrying an enormous weight. Daewon counted perhaps 10,000 Valorans in the city. The intelligence report said there used to be over 2 million here. The Thunder Dragon landed in a plaza near the center of the city. Daewon stood and checked his rifle one last time. Remember, we're guests here. Be respectful. But stay alert. The Kravix could attack at any moment. The squad assembled at the exit ramp. When it lowered, they stepped out onto an alien world. The air smelled like flowers and smoke. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth, making Daewon feel like he could jump higher than normal. The purple sky stretched overhead, and 2 small moons were visible even in daylight. Everything was strange and new and wonderful. A group of Valorans approached. The one in front wore robes made of woven vines. Flowers bloomed from her shoulders. Her face was kind but exhausted. "I am Chancellor Lyra," she said in perfect English. "I lead what remains of our people." "You are the humans?" "We are," Daewon confirmed. "Captain Daewon, commanding Earth's expeditionary force." Lyra's eyes, which were large and golden like a cat's, looked past him at the Thunder Dragon. Then she looked at his squad. 5 humans standing in formation. That was all. "This is your expeditionary force?" she asked carefully. "All of it?" "Yes, Chancellor. We're all Earth could spare on short notice, but we're enough." Lyra's leaves rustled, which Daewon guessed was like a human sighing. "I see. I'm grateful you came, but I think I should apologize now. I have sent you to your deaths. The Kravix are unstoppable. We have tried everything. Diplomacy, defensive technology, retreat. Nothing works. They want only our complete surrender." "Then we won't let them have it," Hana said firmly. "You don't understand," Lyra said, her voice breaking. "The Kravix are death masters. They have conquered 17 worlds. They have warriors beyond counting. They enjoy the killing." June spoke quietly from the back. "So did we once. Humans fought each other for thousands of years. We learned every way there is to kill. Every tactic. Every strategy. We became very good at war because we had to. Because if we didn't, we died." "And now you've stopped fighting each other?" Lyra asked hopefully. "Mostly," Taeyang admitted. "But we remember how. We remember everything." A loud boom echoed across the city. Everyone turned to see smoke rising from the eastern districts. Alarms began wailing. Valorans in the streets started running, seeking shelter. "They're here," Lyra whispered. "The Kravix attack every morning. They destroy more buildings, kill more people, then leave. They're trying to break our spirit." "How many?" Daewon demanded, already moving. "Usually 50 to 100 warriors. They march through the streets and fire at anything that moves." Minji was already pulling up tactical data on her portable computer. "I'm reading 73 heat signatures. Heavy armor. Energy weapons. Moving in formation from the east. 73, Taeyang said, grinning. "That's almost fair." "We need to get to high ground," June said, scanning the surrounding buildings. "I need sight lines." Daewon turned to Lyra. "Chancellor, get your people to safety. Stay hidden. This will be loud." "You're going to fight them?" Lyra asked in disbelief. 5 of you against 73 Kravix? That's suicide!" "No," Daewon said calmly. "That's war, and humans are very good at it." The squad moved quickly through the city streets. Daewon directed them with hand signals, no words needed. They had trained together for 2 years preparing for this mission. They moved like parts of a single organism. June climbed a half-destroyed tower, his sniper rifle already in position. Taeyang set up in a ruined building with his heavy weapons. Minji hid in a basement with her electronic warfare equipment. Hana took position on a rooftop with clear views of 3 streets. Daewon positioned himself at ground level, where he could see everything and direct the battle. Through his scope, June reported, "I see them. They're huge, 9 feet tall, just like the briefing said. Armor looks thick. They're carrying plasma rifles, moving in straight lines, 4 columns. No scouts, no flankers, just marching forward like they own the place." "They think they do," Daewon replied quietly. "Let's teach them different." "Minji, are you in their communications?" "Working on it," Minji responded. "Their encryption is actually pretty basic." "Got it, I'm in." "They're speaking their own language, but the translator is working. They're talking about breakfast. They're talking about breakfast while marching to kill people." "Then let's ruin their appetite," Hana growled. "Captain, permission to engage?" Daewon watched the Kravix through his own scope. They were massive, terrifying creatures. Their scales gleamed in the alien sunlight. Their weapons could probably vaporize a human with 1 shot. They moved with absolute confidence, like nothing in the universe could stop them. They had never met humans before. "All units, listen carefully," Daewon said into his communicator. "We're not here to fight fair. We're here to win. Use everything we've learned. Show them what humans can do. June, you have the first shot. Take their commander. Understood, June whispered. Through his scope, he could see the largest Kravik walking at the front of the formation. The creature's armor had extra markings. Definitely the leader. June took a breath. Released it slowly. Between heartbeats, he squeezed the trigger. The shot echoed across the city like thunder. The Kravik commander's head snapped back. The creature stumbled, then fell. The massive body hit the ground with a crash that shook nearby windows. For a moment, the other Kraviks just stood there, confused. Their leader was down. That wasn't supposed to happen. Then chaos erupted. All units, Day One commanded, light them up. The battle for Valora Prime had begun. The Kraviks scattered like insects when June's second shot dropped another warrior. These massive creatures, feared across 17 worlds, suddenly didn't know what to do. They fired their plasma weapons wildly into the air, hitting nothing but empty buildings. They can't see us, Hana reported from her rooftop position. They're used to fighting enemies who stand in lines and trade shots. They've never fought ghosts before. Day One smiled coldly. Then let's haunt them. Taeyang, deploy the drones. From his position in the ruined building, Taeyang activated 6 small combat drones. They shot into the air, silent and invisible to the Kravik sensors. Each drone carried enough explosive power to crack even Kravik armor. And the Kraviks couldn't see them coming. The first drone struck a group of 3 Kraviks who were trying to organize a defense. The explosion sent them flying like toys. Their armor saved them from death, but not from being knocked out of the fight. The second drone hit 5 more warriors who were taking cover behind a destroyed vehicle. The third, fourth, and fifth drones found their targets within seconds. 15 down, Taeyang reported cheerfully. 58 to go. Minji's voice came through the communicator, barely containing laughter. You should hear their communications. They're panicking. They keep asking what's attacking them. One of them just said, invisible demons from the void, I'm recording everything. Can you disrupt their coordination? Daewon asked. Already doing it. I'm feeding false information into their network. Half of them think the attack is coming from the north. The other half think it's from the south. They're about to start shooting at each other. June fired again. Another Kravik fell. 42 to go, he said quietly. The Kraviks were trying to regroup in the center of a plaza. A new commander was shouting orders, trying to form defensive positions. They were starting to understand that they were being hunted. Hana, Daewon ordered, smoke grenades. Give June full cover. Hana pulled 3 grenades from her belt and threw them into the plaza. Within seconds, thick white smoke covered the entire area. The Kraviks roared in confusion, firing blindly into the fog. Their plasma bolts scorched the ground but hit nothing. From his elevated position, June could see through the smoke using his thermal scope. The Kravik showed up bright and clear. He fired methodically, 1 shot every 3 seconds. Each shot found its target. The Kraviks fell one by one, never knowing where death came from. This isn't a battle, one Kravik shouted into his communicator. Minji translated for the squad. This is an execution. Retreat, we need to retreat. But they couldn't retreat. Daewon had positioned his squad to block all the major exits from this part of the city. The Kraviks were trapped in a killing zone and they didn't even realize it yet. A group of 10 Kraviks tried to escape down a side street. They ran directly into Hana's position. She had set up a series of traps during the confusion. Wires stretched across the street at ankle height. When the first Kravik tripped, the others stumbled over him. In that moment of chaos, Hana opened fire from above. Her rifle was designed to punch through armor. The bullets found weak points in the Kravik scales, spaces between plates, joints where the armor couldn't be as thick. The Kraviks fell, not dead but wounded, unable to continue fighting. Contact down, Hana reported. 10 more out of the fight. Taeyang launched his last 3 drones. They struck with devastating precision. I'm out of drones, he announced. Switching to direct fire. His heavy weapons opened up from his position in the ruined building. The gun roared like thunder, firing explosive rounds at any Kravik who tried to move. The sound alone was terrifying. The Kraviks had never heard anything like it. What is that weapon? A Kravik warrior screamed into his communicator. I don't know, another responded. I've never seen anything like this. Who are these enemies? Minji broke into their communications directly. Her voice boomed through every Kravik helmet. We are humans. We are from Earth, and you made a mistake coming here. The Kraviks froze. Humans, what are humans? Your worst nightmare, Minji replied. Then she cut the connection and started playing terrifying sounds through their helmets. Screaming, roaring, the sounds of human warriors from ancient Earth battles. The psychological warfare was working. She could see through their communication feed that several Kraviks were actually shaking with fear. Daewon moved through the streets like a shadow. While his squad controlled the battle from a distance, he worked at ground level. He appeared behind isolated Kraviks, disabled them with precise strikes to weak points in their armor, then vanished before they could react. The Kraviks started reporting ghost sightings, a human who appeared and disappeared like smoke. 15 minutes into the battle, only 20 Kraviks were still capable of fighting. They had grouped together in the center of the plaza, back to back, firing at anything that moved. They were terrified. Their armor was scorched and dented. Their weapons were running low on power, and they still couldn't see their enemy. Final push, Daewon ordered. On my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. All 5 humans attacked simultaneously. June fired from above. Hana fired from the east. Taeyang fired from the west. Minji deployed her last electronic weapon, a device that disrupted the Kravik's helmet displays, leaving them blind. And Daewon charged from the south. The Kraviks never had a chance. In 90 seconds it was over. The plaza fell silent except for the groaning of wounded Kraviks. Smoke drifted across the battlefield. 73 warriors had entered this part of the city. 73 warriors now lay on the ground, defeated. Not all of them were dead. Human tactics focused on disabling enemies, not always killing them. Dead enemies couldn't talk, couldn't tell stories, couldn't spread fear. Daewon walked into the center of the plaza. His boots crunched on debris. He looked down at the Kravik warriors sprawled across the ground. These massive creatures who had conquered worlds now looked small and broken. One Kravik warrior was still conscious, his armor cracked but his mind aware. He stared up at Daewon with eyes full of disbelief. "What are you?" the Kravik whispered in his own language. Daewon's translator converted it to English in his ear. Daewon knelt down so he was eye level with the alien warrior. "I already told you. We're humans. We're from Earth. And you just made the biggest mistake of your lives." 5, the Kravik said, coughing. "There were only 5 of you. 5 against 73. That's impossible." "No," Daewon corrected. "That's tactics. That's training. That's thinking. You Kraviks are strong and tough, but you fight like you're still living in the ancient past. Direct assaults, honor duels, standing formations. That might work against enemies who don't know any better. But we're humans. We've been fighting wars since before we could write. We learned every dirty trick, every ambush, every way to win when we're outnumbered. And now we're going to teach the galaxy what that means." The Kravik's eyes widened. "You're going to kill us all." "No," Daewon said, standing up. "We're going to send you home. You're going to tell your commanders what happened here. You're going to tell them about the 5 humans who defeated 73 Kravik warriors in 18 minutes. You're going to tell them that Earth has entered the war, and then they're going to make a choice. Keep fighting or surrender." "They'll never surrender," the Kravik said weakly. "The Kravik Empire has never surrendered." Daewon smiled. "There's a first time for everything." Footsteps echoed across the plaza. Chancellor Lyra appeared with a group of Valorans. They moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid this was all a dream that might shatter. They looked at the fallen Kraviks. They looked at the 5 human soldiers standing victorious. They looked at their city, still standing, still alive. Lyra approached Daewon with tears streaming down her face. In Valoran culture, tears were rare and precious, like water in a desert. "You did it," she whispered. 5 of you. 5 humans defeated a Kravik attack force. I didn't believe it was possible." "It's only the beginning," Hana said, walking up to join them. "This was just one patrol. How many Kraviks are on your world?" 50,000, Lyra replied. "Maybe more." Taeyang laughed as he emerged from the ruined building. "Well, that's 49,927 left. Give us a week." Minji appeared with her equipment. "Actually, I think we can speed this up. I've been analyzing their communications network. It's completely open. No real security. I can hear everything they're saying across the entire planet." "What are they saying?" Daewon asked. Minji smiled. "They're terrified. News of this battle is already spreading. The survivors are broadcasting what happened. Every Kravik on this world now knows that something new is fighting them. Something they can't beat." June climbed down from his tower, his rifle slung across his back. "Fear is a weapon too. Maybe the best weapon. Daewon looked around at his squad. They were tired but uninjured. 5 humans against an empire. The odds were still impossible. But the first battle was won. And now the Kraviks knew that Earth was here. "Come on," Daewon said to his team. "We have work to do. An empire to defeat." The war had truly begun. The Kravik High Command received the first reports 3 hours after the battle. General Vox stared at the holographic display in disbelief. 73 warriors defeated. By 5 enemies. 5 unknown enemies. "This is a mistake," he growled to his communication officer. "Check the data again. Warriors don't lose to such small numbers." "The data is correct, General," the officer replied nervously. Multiple survivors confirmed the report. 5 warriors from a species called humans. They used weapons and tactics we've never encountered. Humans? Vox pulled up the galactic database. Nothing. No record of any species called humans. No military data. No diplomatic contact. Nothing. Where do they come from? A planet called Earth. It's in an isolated system. No one knew they had space travel capability. Vox slammed his fist on the table. "Find out everything about these humans. Send our best warriors. Send the Iron Scale Battalion. 1,000 of our finest. I want these humans captured or killed. Now." On Valora Prime, Daewon and his squad had not been idle. They spent the next 2 days doing something the Valorans had never considered. They taught them to fight. "We don't fight," Chancellor Lyra protested when Daewon first suggested it. "Violence goes against everything we are. We are growers, builders, artists, not warriors." "I'm not asking you to become warriors," Daewon explained patiently. They stood in a large hall filled with young Valorans, maybe 200 of them. "I'm asking you to survive. The Kraviks won't stop. You can hide or you can learn to defend yourselves." An older Valoran stepped forward. His name was Elder Finn. His bark-like skin was darker than the others, marked with age. "And if we learn your human ways, will we become like the Kraviks? Will we become killers?" Hana answered before Daewon could speak. "No, you'll become survivors. There's a difference. The Kraviks kill because they enjoy it. You'll fight because you have no choice, because your children deserve a future." The Valorans looked at each other, slowly, reluctantly. They agreed to listen. Tai Yang taught them about defensive positions, how to use the terrain, how to make the enemy come to you where you wanted them. The Valorans learned slowly at first, but they learned. Their tall, thin bodies could move through spaces humans couldn't fit. They could climb the crystal buildings like spiders. They started to understand that their weakness could become strength with the right tactics. June taught them about patience, about waiting for the perfect moment, about striking from hiding and disappearing before the enemy could react. The Valorans were naturally quiet. They moved like wind through grass. They became invisible in their own forests. Minji taught them about information, about listening to enemy communications, about using technology against the Kraviks. She showed them how to hack Kravik sensors, how to plant false information, how to make the enemy see threats that didn't exist. The Valorans had brilliant minds. They learned electronic warfare faster than any human could. And Daewon taught them the most important lesson. How to be brave when everything felt hopeless, how to stand up when you wanted to hide, how to believe that 5 people could change the galaxy if they tried hard enough. "You've been trying to fight the Kravik way," Daewon told the assembled Valorans, standing in lines, "meeting them in open battle, using your technology as shields. But you can't out-Kravik a Kravik. You need to fight your own way. Use what makes you different. Use what makes you Valoran." After 2 days of training, the Valorans were not soldiers, but they were no longer helpless. On the 3rd day, the Iron Scale Battalion arrived. "Contacts," Minji announced from her monitoring station. 1,000 Kravik warriors entering the atmosphere. "They're coming in heavy dropships. Looks like they're planning to land all around Crystal City and crush it from every side." "Good," Daewon said calmly. "That means they're bunched up, predictable. Hana, are the Valorans in position?" "Yes, Captain. 200 Valoran volunteers spread across the city. They're hidden. They're scared, but they're ready." "Taeyang, what about the heavy weapons?" "Set up at key points." "We stripped weapons from the defeated Kraviks and modified them. Not perfect, but they'll work." "June, I have sightlines on all major approach routes. I count 15 potential targets worth my attention. Probably commanders or communications specialists. Minji, I'm already in their communications network. They're arguing about tactics. Some want to attack immediately. Others want to scout first. Their commander just ordered a full assault. They're coming in fast and angry." Daewon allowed himself a small smile. Angry enemies make mistakes. All units prepare for engagement. Remember the plan. Hit them hard, then fade. Make them chase shadows. Bleed them slowly. The Iron Scale Battalion landed in perfect formation around Crystal City. 1,000 warriors, the finest the Kravik Empire could deploy. They wore darker armor than regular warriors. Their weapons gleamed with enhanced power. They moved with absolute confidence. They were the best of the best. They had never lost a battle. That was about to change. The Kraviks advanced into the city from 5 directions. They expected resistance. They expected the 5 humans to fight back. What they didn't expect was silence. The streets were empty. The buildings were dark. Nothing moved. No sound except the wind whistling through the crystal towers. "Where are they?" Commander Gresh demanded, leading the main assault group. "Where are these humans?" "No contacts, Commander," a sensor officer reported. "Nothing on thermal. Nothing on motion detection. The city appears abandoned." "They're hiding," Gresh decided. "They know they're outnumbered. Search every building. Find them." The Kraviks spread out. They entered buildings. They climbed towers. They searched gardens and basements. And they found nothing. Then June fired his first shot. A Kravik commander fell, his helmet shattered. The warriors around him spun in confusion. Where had the shot come from? They fired wildly at nearby buildings but hit nothing. 30 seconds later, another commander fell. Different location. Different direction. Snipers. Someone shouted. "We have snipers." But they couldn't locate the shooter. June had learned from Velaran volunteers how to move through the crystal buildings. He fired from one location, then moved to another before the Kraviks could respond. He was everywhere and nowhere. Then the Velaran volunteers attacked. They came from below, from hidden tunnels the Kraviks didn't know existed. They emerged behind small groups of warriors, fired captured weapons, then vanished before the Kraviks could react. They didn't try to win fights. They just created chaos and disappeared. The Kraviks started firing at everything. At shadows. At movements that might be enemies. At each other. Panic spread through their ranks like wildfire. Minji made it worse. She hacked into their communication network and started giving false orders. Half the battalion was told to regroup at the Northern Plaza. The other half was told the Northern Plaza was under heavy attack. When they met, they almost opened fire on each other before realizing the mistake. "The humans are in our communications," a Kravik officer shouted. "We can't trust any orders." "Then fight without orders," Commander Gresh roared. "Use your training. Find the enemy and destroy them." But there was no enemy to find. Just ghosts. Just shadows. Just the occasional sniper shot that dropped another warrior. Tae Yang waited until a large group of Kraviks gathered in a central plaza trying to organize. Then he opened fire with the captured Kravik heavy weapons. The explosions tore through their ranks. Before they could respond, he had already moved to a different position. The battle lasted 4 hours. Not because it was difficult, but because the humans and their Velaran allies were being careful, bleeding the Kraviks slowly, making them afraid, making them doubt everything. When it finally ended, 200 Kravik warriors were down. Not all dead, but out of the fight. The remaining 800 had retreated to their dropships, their confidence shattered. In the command dropship, Commander Gresh stared at the battlefield reports. His claws shook with rage and fear. 1,000 of the best warriors in the Empire, and they had been humiliated by an enemy they couldn't even see. "Get me high command," he ordered. "Now." When General Vox appeared on the communication screen, Gresh didn't wait for questions. "We cannot win this fight," Gresh said bluntly. "These humans don't fight like anything we've encountered. They're everywhere and nowhere. They turn our own tactics against us. They've taught the Velarans to fight like them. We need to leave this world, but we don't retreat." Vox roared. "Then you doom us all." Gresh shouted back, his control breaking. "I've fought in 30 campaigns across 17 worlds. I have never seen anything like this. These humans are not just warriors. They're something else, something we cannot defeat with traditional warfare." Vox fell silent. In his career, Commander Gresh had never advocated retreat. Never shown fear. If he was this shaken, then the situation was truly dire. "How many of these humans are there?" Vox asked quietly. "Still just 5 as far as we can tell. But they've created an army. They've turned the Velarans into fighters, and they've made us afraid." Vox stared at the display for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. Pull back to orbit. Don't engage. I'm contacting the Emperor directly. For the first time in the Empire's history, the Kraviks were considering surrender, and they had been fighting for less than a week. Emperor Drax had ruled the Kravik Empire for 40 years. In that time, he had conquered 17 worlds. He had crushed rebellions. He had built an empire that made other species tremble at the mention of his name. He had never known defeat. He sat in his throne room on the Kravik homeworld watching the reports from Valora Prime. He watched them 3 times. Each time his certainty grew weaker. 5 warriors, he said to his assembled advisors. 5 warriors from an unknown species have defeated our forces twice. Explain this to me. Military advisor Krell stepped forward. He was old for a Kravik. His scales faded with age, but his mind was still sharp. Majesty, I have analyzed every second of combat footage we recovered. These humans fight differently than any species we have encountered. They don't value honor. They don't meet us in direct combat. They use deception, ambush, psychological warfare, and they're very, very good at it. So we adapt, Drax said. We learn their tactics and counter them. Majesty, Krell said carefully, I don't think you understand. These tactics are not new to the humans. The footage analysis suggests they have been refining these methods for thousands of years. They have fought wars we can't imagine, wars against themselves. They have learned every possible way to fight and win against superior numbers. We would need decades to match their experience. How many soldiers does Earth possess? Drax demanded. Unknown, Majesty. They sent 5, but the psychological profile suggests they have many, many more. They wouldn't send just 5 soldiers unless they were confident those 5 could succeed, which means Earth likely has millions of warriors with similar training. The throne room fell silent. Millions of warriors who fought like the 5 on Valora Prime. The thought was terrifying. We have 50,000 warriors on Valora Prime, another advisor pointed out. Surely they can overwhelm 5 humans, can they? Krell asked. In 1 week, these 5 humans have defeated 2 assault forces and taught the Valorans to fight effectively. Every day we delay, the Valorans become stronger and our forces become more afraid. Fear is spreading through our ranks like a disease. Warriors who have conquered worlds are now afraid to patrol city streets. Then we withdraw from Valora Prime, a young advisor suggested. Cut our losses. Avoid this new enemy, and look weak, Drax roared. The moment we retreat, every species we've conquered will rebel. They'll all want human help. Our empire will collapse. Then we negotiate, Krell said quietly. We contact Earth directly. We learn what they want, and we find a solution that doesn't involve fighting them. Drax stared at his oldest advisor. Negotiation. Peace talks. The Kravik Empire had never negotiated before. They had always been the strongest. Always been the conquerors. But these humans had changed the rules. Contact Earth, Drax finally ordered. And contact the Galactic Council. Tell them the Kravik Empire requests a formal ceasefire on Valora Prime. On Valora Prime, Day-One received the message 2 days later. He stood in Chancellor Lyra's office with his squad around him. The holographic display showed a Kravik diplomat, not a warrior. I am Ambassador Torin, the Kravik said in accented English. I speak on behalf of Emperor Drax and the Kravik Empire. We request immediate ceasefire negotiations regarding Valora Prime. Day-One glanced at his squad. They all looked as surprised as he felt. A ceasefire? After 1 week? Why should we agree to a ceasefire? Day-One asked. We're winning. Ambassador Torin's scales rippled, which the translator indicated was embarrassment. Because continued conflict serves no purpose. We acknowledge that human military capability exceeds our initial assessment. We wish to avoid further bloodshed. You mean you're afraid? Hana said bluntly. Torin didn't deny it. Yes, we are afraid. We have studied your tactics. We have analyzed your technology. We have concluded that defeating Earth would require resources and time we cannot afford. Therefore, we propose peaceful resolution. Chancellor Lyra stepped forward. What kind of resolution? You've killed millions of my people. Destroyed our cities. You can't just say sorry and leave. We understand, Torin said carefully. We are prepared to offer full reparations, reconstruction materials, medical supplies, technology transfers, whatever Valora Prime needs to rebuild. Additionally, we will withdraw all military forces from your world immediately. And in return? Day-One asked. In return, we ask that Earth does not interfere with Kravik territory. We will leave the Valorans alone. We will never return to this world. We simply ask that humanity allows us to maintain our existing empire without challenge. Daewon looked at Lyra. What do you think, Chancellor? Lyra's eyes shone with tears again. I think I never believed I would see this day. The Kravik's negotiating. The Kravik's afraid. I think we should accept. My people need peace. We need time to heal. Then we accept, Daewon said. But understand this, Ambassador. Earth is now watching the Kravik Empire. If you attack innocent species again, we will respond. And next time, we won't send just 5 soldiers. Torrent's scales rippled again. Understood. The Galactic Council will mediate the formal treaty. We will begin withdrawal within the day. The transmission ended. The room fell silent except for the sound of Lyra crying softly. Not tears of sadness now. Tears of relief. Tears of joy. The war was over. We did it, Minji whispered. We actually did it. No, Daewon corrected. The Velerans did it. We just showed them how to fight. They found the courage to stand up. Elder Finn entered the office, moving faster than his old body probably should. Is it true? The Kraviks are leaving? They're leaving, Lyra confirmed. It's over. After 3 years, the war is finally over. News spread through Crystal City like wildfire. Velerans emerged from hiding. They gathered in the streets, laughing and crying. Some were still afraid, not quite believing it was real. But slowly, hope returned to their faces. The Kravik withdrawal took 2 days. 50,000 warriors boarded their ships and left Valora Prime without firing another shot. They looked defeated. They looked afraid. They looked like they couldn't leave fast enough. On the morning of the 3rd day, the Thunder Dragon prepared to depart. The squad stood in the same plaza where they had first landed. Chancellor Lyra and hundreds of Velerans came to say goodbye. How can we ever thank you? Lyra asked Daewon. You saved our species. You saved our world. Help others, Daewon replied simply. Other species will face what you faced. Remember what you learned. Teach them to stand up. Teach them to fight back. That's how you thank us. Will we see humans again? Finn asked. June smiled his quiet smile. The galaxy is big, but Earth is part of it now. Yes, you'll see us again. Taeyang knelt down to speak with a young Veleran child who had been watching him with wide eyes. Remember, little one, being afraid is okay, but letting fear control you is not. Stand tall, be brave, and if someone tells you that you can't do something, prove them wrong. The child nodded solemnly. Minji hugged Lyra one last time. Stay safe, Chancellor, and keep practicing those electronic warfare techniques I taught you. You're better at it than you think. Hana stood at the bottom of the ramp, looking back at the Crystal City. It's beautiful here. When you rebuild, make it even more beautiful. Make it a symbol that hope can win over fear. The squad boarded the Thunder Dragon. As the engines powered up, they watched through the viewport as the Valorans waved goodbye. These gentle, plant-based beings who had learned to be warriors when they had no choice. Who had survived against impossible odds. The ship lifted off, climbing into the purple sky. Valora Prime fell away below them, already beginning to heal. So, Taeyang said as they left the atmosphere, we just ended an interstellar war in 1 week. With 5 people, that has to be some kind of record. Earth Command is going to want a full report, Minji noted. This is going to change everything. The galaxy knows about us now. They're going to be afraid of us, June said quietly. Like the Kraviks are afraid. Good, Hana replied. Let them be afraid. Fear might prevent the next war before it starts. Daewon sat in the command chair and initiated the faster-than-light drive. We're not going home yet, he announced. Minji, show them the messages. Minji pulled up a display. Dozens of messages scrolled across the screen. All from different alien species. All asking the same thing. Help. 3 other species have requested Earth's protection, Minji explained. They've heard about what we did on Valora Prime. They want human soldiers to defend them too. Earth Command has authorized us to investigate, Daewon said. They want us to assess these situations before sending more forces. We're going to be out here a while longer. So we're not just Earth's first space soldiers, Taeyang said slowly. We're going to become legends. The 5 humans who changed the galaxy. Maybe, Daewon admitted. Or maybe we're just doing our job. Protecting those who can't protect themselves. Isn't that what soldiers are supposed to do? The Thunder Dragon jumped to faster-than-light speed. Stars stretched into lines around them. They were heading toward their next mission. Their next chance to make a difference. Behind them, on distant Valora Prime, Chancellor Lyra stood in the ruins of her city and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, 5 humans,